bottle here, connected up. Serving pressure 100 kilopascals, which is what the keg's been carbonated at. Best to keep it pretty similar to what you work on. The beer line runs up to a T-piece. Half goes to our keg disconnect, and the other half goes to the gas section of our counter pressure filler. Then we've got the other half of the counter pressure filler is just a line of beer line that goes to the keg. Now it doesn't really seem to matter greatly how long the beer line is, because we're working on counter pressure. That keeps a lot of carbonation in. It's not the same as having a fully balanced tap setup. Alright, so now we're going to set it up to purge our bottle.
Okay.
So right now we've got a bottle that's actually filled with sanitizer. Some brewers will do this where they've boiled the bottle in water for an hour, then let it cool with a cap on. And this is to sort of do the extra sort of purging process. So turn the gas on. Everything should stay pretty steady, and remember, just go slow with all of this. You flip the bottle open, and then you can open that purge valve. And what's going to happen is that gas will start to, CO2 will start to bubble in to the bottle. And the sanitizer is going to come out through your purge valve and into your bucket. So what's happening now is our sanitizer, or the boiled water if you've done that in advance, is getting pushed out of the bottle with pure carbon dioxide. So there's no oxygen in this bottle at all. Now, I'm not usually a fan of using star sand for this, just because it can make everything a bit slippery, but this system's holding up all right. And when you hear the gas come out, you close that valve, very carefully flip the bottle back around, turn the gas off, just let it sit. Just check everything's good, and when you're ready, turn over to the beer. Now nothing should happen right now, because the pressure in the bottle is the same as the pressure on the keg, so there's nowhere for it to go. Sometimes if you're bottling where your bottle sits above your keg, gravity might pull the beer in your beer line backwards a little bit, but that's fine. Now, just very slowly open that purge valve or the bleed valve. You hear a slight hiss. Might seem like nothing happens for a second. That's okay. The slower you take this process, the better it's going to work. Now we can see in the bottle there's a bit of foam already. That's just from the star sand. But then as the pressure drops in the bottle, beer will slowly start to flow in. And we can see just starting to come in now. Because of the foam we can't really see it, but it should flow in nice and gentle, and you shouldn't actually see much foaming in the bottle from the beer. See a little bit of bubble there, but because the head pressure in the glass is pretty much the same as in the keg, you shouldn't see much foam. The other key is to make sure your bottle is the same temperature as the beer, so that the beer doesn't hit the warm glass and start to foam up. Now you control the flow of the beer into the bottle by adjusting your purge valve, but really just take it slow for the first couple of bottles, because if you were to open that valve too quickly or too much, all of a sudden you get a ton of foam and it'll just be a big bottle filled with foam. You can just adjust it very slowly if you want to. But again, this just isn't a process that's worth rushing. always speed this bit of the video up.
Yeah, a little bit of foam there.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell because of the foam from the star sand what's beer foam and what's the star sand foam, but you sort of see mostly it's the star sand stuff coming out at the moment. We're going to keep this going until we see beer starting to slowly flow out of that out tube. And when we see beer flowing out, it means we've filled the whole bottle with beer. And we're not leaving a ton of foam on top. Because the more space there is in the bottle, the gas in the beer will equalise in the headspace, and we might lose carbonation in the finished beer. So in a second it's going to look like it's getting faster, but that's just because the bottle's tapered off. So we're getting foam coming out. Sometimes you might go until it is actually liquid flowing out, but depending on the valve, it might just always foam up there anyway. But that's pretty solid. So now we turn off the valve.
Turn off the beer.
Turn off the beer. Place it down carefully. And just gently ease the stopper out. If it's a highly carbed beer, you want to do this nice and careful, because a sudden drop in pressure can cause it to foam.
Got one in there, it's good.
Alright, take the wand out, onto the capper, and cap. I'll just show how filled that bottle is. Really only a couple of centimetres. We're used to seeing bottles filled a bit less than that, but I think this is about a headspace. Counter pressure filling is good. Just that's more guarantee that that space is just CO2, and that should last for a long time.
Okay, this is the test. Looks like it's pretty well held its carbonation.